now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Freddie. We don't have Mr. Jeff Dye today. We miss him dearly. Maybe he'll surprise us and jump in. You never know. Anyway, here's the news. Ring of Honor World Champion Eddie Kingston defeated Jay Lethal by pinfall. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Buddy Matthews by submission. And the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship MJF and Samoa Joe defeated the Guns by submission. Does this guarantee Samoa Joe a championship match against the reigning, defending for 365 days plus now? Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Here is Wrestling with Freddie. What's up, everybody? I have to pretty much hold my breath when I do that annoying voice. And so if I go long like that, I get lightheaded and I feel like I'm about to faint. So if you hear a loud thump, that's the big front bone on my forehead smashing against the keyboard. Hi, everyone. How are you? It was a lovely pay-per-view weekend. AEW's Full Gear from the Kia Forum here in Los Angeles. I was unable to go. My daughter had a dance convention this weekend and was competing and had her first solo, and the family's very, very proud of her. And dancing's a lot like wrestling. There's choreography, there's grace, there's balance, there's strength. Fortunately, they don't let little kids do it. Well, they probably do have a little kid wrestling promotion somewhere. But we had a good weekend as a family, but I did miss my wrestling. I got to watch the pay-per-view. I am fully educated upon it. I almost threw up. There was so much blood. I cheered when I saw Will Ospreay, and we're going to get into it all right now. The show started with Adam Copeland, the Rated R superstar, Darby Allin, and Sting. And they were wrestling Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. For those of you who just listen to the show and don't really watch wrestling, you just are like, this guy digs what he's talking about, and you feel that passion and you connect. Sting, for me, is what your childhood hero was to you. When I was a kid, watching wrestling with my grandma in Puerto Rico, every Christmas break, every summer vacation. That's where I would go to Boca Raton, Puerto Rico. And we would watch wrestling, and Sting was her favorite. Just her. She loved him. She was in love with him because he was handsome, you guys. For those who don't know, he was handsome, especially Surfer. Surfer Sting is the one I'm talking about. That was my introduction to him. And he had cool face paint. He was super jacked, like a bodybuilder, and he had cool hair. It was like a blonde, spiky haircut. And he just looked like Super California. And I loved him. And he was the only guy, to my knowledge, that could power out and no-sell the Ric Flair chop. Like, it would hurt sometimes, but every once in a while, he just, in the corner. And Ric Flair would be like, oh, my God, somebody's powering out of my chop. This was a lovely match for the nostalgia reasons. Neither of the old guys got hurt. That's right, Adam Copeland. I called you an old guy. What? And it was the right guys won. The good guys won the match. And Christian Cage is still super jacked. And Darby Allin, I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep doing this, but as long as he's doing it, I'll keep watching it. I wish there was a way to have fake steps to slam him into from 40 feet up or however high up he is. Those days are not here with us. So I want him to be healthy. I definitely have to look away sometimes because I'm a 47-year-old father. I have a son who likes to dive and drop elbows on me because I hit him with the LA Knight elbow all the time. So that stuff worries me, but the right guys won. We'll move on. Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley for the international title. There have been some injuries. I know Moxley had one, and it sort of affected the timetable and the plan and the story that they were trying to do with this belt. So there hasn't been much of a story, but I do think they managed to salvage enough. And this is more on Jon Moxley's. This is more due to Jon Moxley than anyone else. His continued hatred for Orange Cassidy, even though he's defeated him and was the champion before he got hurt, has maintained good heat is the term that the wrestlers like to use and that Vince would use. Enough heat to keep me interested in the match. And these guys went hardcore. Jon Moxley always bleeds. And I can't, man, when I was in my 20s, I didn't even blink. Now, unless it's like my kid's blood, I freak out. If it's my kid's blood, I just hustle to get them cleaned up. But if it's anyone else's real blood, I just, it grosses me out. And that's not even the bloodiest match of the night, y'all. Let's go to the match that I think, the women's match that everybody was definitely interested in, the Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida. And Toni Storm has done this new gimmick that I know Jeff's not the biggest fan of, and I've seen it work and I've seen it not work. I love the black and white thing. I think that's smart that they do that. And I love the premise around it, wrapped around it. I don't think every scene they do is as good as it could be, but this is relatively new. And I think you should be allowed to make mistakes and be given a lot of latitude in the wrestling business, considering all the things you have to work with and all the obstacles that are in your way. So I try to give more latitude to those. That said, the character itself of Toni Storm, this sort of iconic old school movie star, like if anybody remembers the old Madonna Vogue video where she's doing all the poses and it's like the lighting only shows the eyes and things like that. And that's what Toni Storm is doing. She's recreating that video basically with all these poses, and it's really worked for her. She's made it her own. She didn't steal it or anything like that, but she's captured the essence of what like Betty Davis and Rita Hayworth and all that old school diva stuff was. And she's wrestling against Hikaru Shida, who's a 3-time women's champion, really qualified wrestler. I love Shida. I follow Shida on Instagram. I think she's super cool, but there was no way she was going to win this match. Too many people are behind Toni Storm. Too many people are behind this new character that she's come up with. I think people are just glad she's finally found a character that she can do well, that they can get behind or hate, depending on what sort of take she has on it. And it's working for her. So she won this match. She won it in a very dramatic diva Hollywood way with a shoe and the heel of one. But it was a good match, and I like Toni Storm a lot. I like Shida even more, but Toni's the right person to have the title right now. The title should go to that hot hand when you're still establishing titles. AEW is still a young company. It's still growing. It's doing well. It may not be growing as fast as Tony Khan wants or some fans want, but it's growing. It's not shrinking. So yeah, so the right person won. Will Ospreay. You guys, he's coming to America. Ospreay. And it's not WWE. He chose AEW. I don't know the details of his deal. I don't like to divulge details of people's deals. People's money is their money, but I couldn't be happier. I really like this guy. I was not educated on him outside the Instagram clips that everybody sees of him getting flipped off the top turnbuckle and landing on his feet in New Japan, which is really sick. And I've seen other stuff too on Instagram, but I had never seen a Will Ospreay match until late. And got hip to him and fell in love with what everybody else has fallen in love with. He is British. He is rough around the collar. He is handsome in a ruggish way. He's very Tom Hardy is the best way for me to describe him. And he's cool. He'll get hot with the crowd if he feels like it, whether they like it or not. And by the time he's done, they like it. It's really powerful. He made a speech and they tried to boo for a second just because they wanted to see him sooner. He was saying, "Hey, I won't be able to wrestle right away. I have to finish my contract." And he got after them more than they got after him. And then they were like, the crowd legit was like, "Okay, our bad. Go Ospreay." So he has a lot of command. He has a lot of presence on the microphone, a lot of presence in the ring. You have to listen in because his accent is a rough British. It's not the Queen's English. "I'm telling you, bro, it's down here, mate." So you have to pay attention and listen when he's going in, and you'll catch up. It's like any accent, but I'm telling you, he's worth watching. if you haven't seen them. All the hardcore fans are like, dude, we knew before you. Okay, chill. By now I know. Now I'm telling the other people who don't know. All right? Because you weren't saying it loud enough. Will Ospreay. Tag team action, y'all. Ladder match. I thought I was going to hate this match. And I ended up loving it. I don't know how they pulled this off. Check this out, you guys. It's for the tag team titles, a ladder match. So there's already going to be at least 4 people in the ring. I say at least because it was Ricky Starks and Big Bill. It was, who else? It was Roosh and his partner. It was FTR, and it was the House of Black. And they're all going after it. So there's 8 dudes in the ring, 3 ladders, all different heights, 2 titles hanging from a hook. Whoever gets up there both and removes both titles wins the match. I would always like to see a match. I don't know if I have. Maybe I have. Someone out there can let me know, where one of the titles is released, but then like the guy gets knocked off the ladder and now everybody's fighting for one remaining title and whoever gets it like wins. I don't know how they would pull that off 100%, but I always kind of wanted to see that. Anyway, you guys know this podcast, Jeff, myself, and everybody now are huge fans of Ricky Starks. Excellent mic work, excellent wrestler, sells like nobody's business. Great match with Bryan Danielson this year. Just a great match. Super bloody though. I almost threw up, but still a great match. The right guys won. It was Big Bill, who the guy's like 7 feet tall. If you haven't seen him, he's just a sight to behold. The kind of guy that Vince McMahon would say, if you saw him in an airport, you'd take notice. That's what Jeff said last week. He's one of those guys. And they won. They retained the championship, which means Ricky gets to have a great promo next time he's on TV and talk to everybody about how right he was and how awesome he is. If you guys hear that beeping outside, I apologize. We called it here. Julia Hart defeats Chris Statlander and Sky Blue, although I should say defeats Sky Blue for Chris Statlander's championship, because the exact way we broke down the match is the exact way the match was executed. Did we choreograph it? Did we call in? Was Jeff there? Because he was in Ontario at that show. Jeff drove all the way to Ontario to go to the show and then couldn't make it to the pay-per-view, which is like 30 minutes from his house. We said that the best way to protect Chris Statlander, because she's a really good wrestler, she just hasn't had any sort of character at all, any sort of gimmick, no story, nothing. Just go out there, defend the championship, and then we'll do it again next week. And that's a disservice to her. All wrestlers deserve a character, and when those characters do well, then all those characters deserve a story, multiple stories. That's what longevity is all about. But we knew Julia Hart was going to win. We knew it, and we said why, and we described how the match would go down, and the finish was what we said it was. So that's a point to the Wrestling with Friends podcast. If you're keeping score, it's, well, we got a point. You guys probably have a few more. Swerve Strickland, y'all. Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. This is the grossest match I've ever seen in my life. Swerve Strickland was bleeding so much it looked like the blood was neon. It looked like anime. It was, I love Swerve Strickland. Okay. I love Swerve Strickland. We've been singing his praise. Jeff likes Adam Page a lot too. So there's love going in for this match. We all wanted Swerve to win. We felt like he deserved a big win over one of the bigger names. Adam Page is that name. I wasn't sure if they were going to give it to him, but I was leaning that way, and I certainly hope they did. And he won this match, but you guys, he must have bled. I mean, if there was a bucket and it was measured in gallons, it must have been a half gallon of blood, like a pint of blood. It's crazy though. It'll be on social media, and just watch and then imagine that, but for 30 minutes straight. Like it was insane. I wanted it to be my match of the night because what the story they told in the ring was amazing, but it was so much blood and I'm so much softer than I used to be, man. I can't hack it. I can't hack it. So it's off my list of best of the night, but Swerve Strickland won. I don't know where he's going to go from here, but I'm excited to find out. I'm very excited to see who's next on the list for him, because I think he's a special talent and he's getting served well. Swerve is getting served, but served well. The Golden Jets were not my match of the week. I am not a big fan of the Golden Jets name. It makes me laugh. Maybe it's supposed to. Les Sex Gods was probably not meant to be taken so seriously. But the Golden Jets, which basically means the old guys, versus the Young Bucks, which means the young guys. If Jericho and Kenneth Omega win the match, they get the Young Bucks title opportunity, which is an anytime, anywhere title opportunity for the tag team championships. And if the Golden Jets lose, then they can never tag team together again, and Kenny Omega will be expected to rejoin the Young Bucks and become the Elite so they can go after the Trios Championship. I was surprised the Young Bucks did the job and the old guys won the match, earning them the opportunity at the Tag Team Championships. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too hyped for the match. They didn't have much of a story. They didn't have time to tell a story. I think they had 3 weeks total and didn't give them too much outside of a backstage promo. Or backstage segment, I should say. So we're moving on to my match of the night. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion versus Switchblade Jay White, the man who stole the championship. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of stolen championship storylines. They've even had moments in the story where an official was holding up the AEW championship and gave it back to the guy that stole it instead of just going, no, I'm an official. This belongs to the champ. It's going to the champ. A couple holes in this story as it developed. However, the story they told on the day in the pre-show, because Max had to wrestle twice. He had to defend the tag team championships and he had to defend his world heavyweight championship on the same night. And friggin' did so, which is amazing. But in the first match, he gets beat up after the match bad. They take a chair to his leg and he gets in an ambulance and they're taking him away. And Adam Cole's there. Adam Cole kind of saves the match in the tag team match. And as he's getting hauled away in the ambulance, he's screaming, "Don't let him take my title, Adam. Please, just don't let him take my championship. Please, man, promise me." "I promise, bro. I promise." That's Adam Cole. That's exactly how he executed it, like a stud. Sure enough, they go to give Jay White the belt, and here comes Adam Cole. And he's going to wrestle on a surgically repaired ankle while he's still in the boot. He doesn't care. He's going to give it all he's got. And all of a sudden, we hear the sirens. And this is about 3 hours later in the show, and the ambulance comes back. MJF's driving the ambulance. He stole it. That's how much he cares about his championship. His leg's all taped up, and he hobbles his ass into the ring just in time to wrestle for his championship. And Jay White goes to town on his leg just right away. He's merciless. He's a total jerk. Jay White just, even though I'm not a fan of the story, Jay White has been friggin' great in the story. Like, both dudes have really committed to this and made me want to watch the match, even though I was against it fundamentally. So the match was incredible. I think it was probably another 30 minutes. It's my match of the week, match of the month. It was just, the story was phenomenal. Adam Cole's ringside cheering his best bro on, getting the crowd hyped, bringing them into the match multiple times. The story of the bad leg and him just constantly relying on adrenaline to get a move off, only to punish himself almost as much as Jay White's punishing him. It was just awesome. They did a great figure 4 leg lock spot where it gets reversed. It was a really beautiful match. Both guys they're not even in their prime. They're still really young dudes. They're just great wrestlers, and couldn't have been impressed more, man. I really, really loved it. Loved the story that they tried to tell, and just thought that it was special. It definitely made me look forward to what's next for MJF, from Samoa Joe and beyond. What's next for Jay White, because he was just at the top of the mountain and you don't want him to go down too far, especially when he proved he can do it. What's next for Swerve Strickland? There's nobody coming out the tunnel going, "I'm the next guy for you." So he's going to want to challenge somebody, and I have no idea who that's going to be. I would hope, I don't know if it would be Max, but that would be crazy to see them already go at it. Will Ospreay is coming in 2 months, like January, February, to AEW. He should be in the title picture right away, but obviously you can't do that. You got to give him someone. Who's he going to wrestle? I mean, this is like, AEW is set up in a really nice position. Now, granted, they can mess it up, right? Booking is the key to this, but they're in such a nice position with their talent. And the story they've told with MJF of having no friends, like Wardlow wants to kill him. He owes Samoa Joe a match. Everybody will. What's going to happen with him and Adam Cole? Eventually, there's going to be a conflict there when Adam's foot's better. He's sacrificed a lot to be Max's friend. There's that storyline of the devil. Like, Max has 6 different options, like 6 different roads he could go down. AEW's in a really, really nice spot right now. They're going to give Julia Hart a chance to run with the women's TBS television championship. She's a young girl. I almost called her a kid. She's a young girl that's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of pressure. Is she going to be able to handle that? Will she be able to have the promo to back it up? Or will Malachi be the one who's kind of speaking on the microphone? Like, there's a lot of cool questions right now for AEW, a lot of good challenges for their talent and for Tony Khan. And I really hope that they're up for it. And I think they will be. Like I said, even if I didn't love that story, a lot of people did. And it's lasted a long time. And if something's not working, you get rid of it. So I'm not saying it didn't work. I'm just saying it didn't click with me, because as a promoter, I'd be like, man, give me that title. So anyway, that's the pay-per-view, y'all. Don't forget Thursdays, your episodes, Thursdays. And we're going to be breaking down War Games and the WWE pay-per-view that's coming up. So you guys will get 2 pay-per-view breakdowns and then 2 pay-per-view reviews in a row, back to back. Appreciate you guys for listening. Don't forget to go to jeffdiecomedy.com for his tour dates so you can see funny stuff. Don't forget to watch wrestling every single week. I'm getting ready to start my YouTube channel up again. If you're into nerdy stuff like Dungeons and Dragons and games like that, and you want to see a cool homebrew that I've been writing for the last 3 years, we're getting ready to finally record it, and some other cool stuff too. Much love to all of you guys. Appreciate you. See you next week. This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.